Greetings. Shalom. Hola. Hey there. Welcome back for another episode of the magic art of miracle working. And where we are going through chapter 7 of the sacred writings of Kava. Okay. Oh, and there's a correction. Because of my dialect, sometimes I say Shiva, but the correct pronunciation would be Kaf, Vav, Vav, Hey, which is actually Kava. And we went through this in the first episode, but that is the Hebrew name for Eve. Okay. But I may still say Shiva because that's just how I talk. So let's begin, why don't we? Now, we're going to pick up where we left off. We were talking about the Metatron model of peace on earth. Okay? And this is what it looks like. And sometimes we may say MMP. But this is what we're talking about. Okay? MMP can also be referred to as the human hexahedron, another biological molecule in the etheric realm of electromagnetism. Achievement of this stage of life prepares us for yet another atomic transformation into the human dodecahedron, the 12-sided electronic configuration of the tree of life. Similar to the carbon-12 atom, which is akin to the word atom, with chemical properties of 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. The ability to emit light, life, procreating force at this frequency and wavelength is the most powerful attunement of astronomical units, also called human gold, that any individual can hope to achieve and maintain. Okay, so let's review this. Okay, now we're talking about the energy, our individual energy, the energy of the planet, and what we must do, okay, to reach the tree of life. Behind us, we have a 3D model of Metatron. Okay, I told you it was massive. This is actually this part of the tree of life. Okay, so this is what you're looking at with the blue balls, and then you can't see it, but that's on here too, and that's on here too. This 3D model is taller than me. Okay, it's about 6 feet tall, and that's the smallest I could make it, and I'll show you why later. But this is Metatron, a 3D model anyway. And right here we have this energy. inside of us. Okay? And when we release this energy, okay, we gotta come through here. We gotta come out of this shell. This is our inner core. We have to transform. And when we transform, this is what our energy does. Okay? We transform. Okay? And this is the atomic structure of the tree of life molecule. And we're going to talk about that next. Now, just a little bit, we talked about the human atom. In our last episode, we talked about just as atoms are the building blocks of matter, we talked about the human atom, that we are actually the manifestation of the unseen realms of Adam. Just like these atoms are the building blocks of matters, we are also the elements of creation. Okay? Now, I told you this is going to get a little scientific, but don't worry about whether you understand that right now or not. But for those who do know, carbon-12 is the most abundant isotope of carbon, okay, in our universe. Carbon is the key ingredient for most life on Earth. And the mass, 1/12 of the mass of one atom. So remember we discussed how we had to scientificize the things that previously it just existed in our minds, like we couldn't really. So we had to add mass, and we had to create models to communicate the knowledge surrounding the human atom, okay? And it's in connection with nature. So you know in Proverbs, it says, in the Holy Bible, it says, go to the ant, thy sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Now, what I learned about how I look at that scripture is, one of the ways that I understand that is we can go to the smallest creature in nature, okay, and learn from it. We can go to the ant and study how the ant lives and survives and learn a lot about ourselves. Okay? So we're doing that here. We're going to the smallest particle that we can all relate to, and we're going to connect the dots to our own existence. We want to know our origins. This is where it is. Okay? We are our own origins. It's just a lot going on that we are not aware of. So, achievement of this prepares us for the human dodecahedron. Okay, so this is the Tree of Life model. In the last episode, we talked about, you might have heard me say this. Actually, the video cut off, so I don't know how much got lost, but I was talking for like 30 more minutes, and then I was finished, but then some of that discussion was cut off. But the human dodecahedron So a duodecahedron is a dodecahedron. Let me write it down for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And like I said, you're going to have to look some of these terms up because this is not an elementary discussion. There's a lot of knowledge condensed into my discussions, and we're going to expand on that. But a dodecahedron, okay, this is one of the platonic solids that we can form. We can transform our energy into. So this is a 12-sided shape, okay? So if you can see it, right? This right here, these 6 right here is what you see right here. All the blue balls represent the Metatron model of peace on earth. Do you see it now? Okay. And this is what we're working on. This is where we're trying to get to. And we have to bring all of this together in order to transform into the apex of our existence and unlock all of that power. Now, let's see. Oh, did you know? Okay, the carbon-12 atom, it is created in the stars. Okay? Yes, that is our origin. We're going to eventually get to that. But this is the connection to our own existence that we have to discover. Okay? And just like there are 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? In science, carbon-12 is measured as 1/12 of the mass of one atom. Okay? And everything in this model is illustrating something. Okay? These right here, these little tentacles, they all mean something. Every line in this model means something. Okay? Every line in this model has a meaning. And all of this, these are elements of the energy that we need to access, we need to transform, and when we achieve that power, we have a combined use. Okay? And that is connected to the human goal, the astronomical units that we discussed in episode 2. This is power, okay? Achieving this as an individual and achieving this as a society and then achieving this as a planet. So you have your protons, electrons, and neutrons. We are part of that genetic makeup, okay? There's 3 sides to this fence. We have to conceive, believe, and then achieve this in our society. And so that's why you have the protons, then you have the electrons and the neutrons. Now, 100 million human dodecahedrons are needed to power the spaceship Earth as a vessel. A powerful amplitude of light that cannot be artificially created or mimicked or hijacked from the conductor. Now, as I communicated before, I am the conductor, okay, of this miracle, but we all are relevant and have an important role in achieving this level of electromagnetic energy. Okay, I was the conduit for these blueprints. I received the knowledge, so that makes me the conduit. We talked about the negative energy surrounding people in the past, the prophets, the saints, the martyrs, even people that we can more relate to in our day-to-day lives in the world. You know, the scientists, the people that were the conduit for certain knowledge that related to certain energy, you know, certain fields of science in this world, who were not given the proper treatment when they made these discoveries. People laughed at them. People stole their inventions and passed it off as their own knowledge. Well, things get lost in the process of trying to duke the conduit and the conductor of certain knowledge. So, and I told you that your human gold cannot be stolen. So, I'm going to say this again. It's a powerful amplitude of light that cannot be artificially created. So technology is not going to get us there. And I'm going to tell you about where there is in a minute. Okay, it's super amazing. It's super amazing. It cannot be mimicked. Our galaxy, our universe, our planet, the other planets, all of that, even the black void that we see when we look up at night, all of that is part of a biological system. We are part of a much larger biological system, okay? And once we discover and tap into our own astronomical units, okay, our human gold, that's on the inside. Once we release that, okay, then you will see how we are biological components of a much larger blueprint. Okay? This is referred to in the book of Revelations as the Sea of Glass, and why the holy city was described as being clear as crystal. Now, like I said, this is an introduction, so we're going to connect some of those dots of understanding eventually. The heavenly treasures that was designed and preordained to be bestowed upon us after successfully unlocking the mysteries of the Holy Bible. The molecular structure of the HD, the human dodecahedron, because, you know, we may start referring to these terms in their acronym form. I want to give you an introduction to that, so later on down the road, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the structure of the HD illustrate symbols for the 12 gates. Okay, so part of us unveiling the mysteries of the Bible, remember, part of that was language. Here we have another anagram. Gates is an anagram, the stage. Same letters, right? Two different words. It's all relevant. Our ascension and our transformation occurs in stages. And I told you, there are angels at those gates. And because of our belief systems that affect our mind and our choices and the way we think, people are getting turned away at the gates. Okay? We have to go through stages. Life unfolds in many stages. And a lot of that happens in the womb. We don't see what's happening in the womb. We don't know what is forming in the womb until the baby is born. A lot of technology allows us to see inside the womb and see what's going on with the baby and even treat a fetus and an embryo. But right now, that's like us. We are like babies in the womb trying to be born. And this is illustrating being born, transforming this, unleashing this, achieving this. All of this, these are stages. So remember, when we first started discussing the Platonic solids, we started with the human tetrahedron. We discussed the octahedron. We discussed the Metatron model of peace on earth as the human hexahedron. Okay? We transform into dodecahedrons. Okay? These are all stages. And we're not going to just talk about the magic art of working miracles. We are actually going to perform a miracle. And part of performing that miracle is having a perspective, a sense of where we're headed with this. Okay? So the molecular structure of the HD illustrates symbols for the 12 gates, or 12 astroglial cells of the energy field, and the 9 astrocytes, whereby all sentient beings are connected to all power of oneself and the earth. In ancient Buddhism, the Atman, Atman, also known as the soul, is said to go through 108 stages on its journey to God. Path 108 is my proposed way to the tree of life. PWM theories and applications are designed to help people acquire the HD transformation, the electron configuration of a light bearer. The daylight is a catalyst of light, life, chain reactions that affect all life forms on earth, both physically and spiritually. the earth can then emit icosahedronic electrical AU signals, which is the sonar-like language of etheric beings by which they communicate and travel. Okay, so we want to take Spaceship Earth. We want to take it to new heights, right? We want to go through the galaxy. We can only do that by speaking the language of the earth. That's right. That's right. Everything is alive. We are biological elements of a larger body of biological beings. Okay? And when we transform into the tree of life, when we achieve the electron configuration, the atomic structure of the tree of life, when we get to this point, okay, we can communicate with the universe. That's why this cannot be artificially created or mimicked or hijacked. This energy has to be real, because communicating with the galaxy and the universe and the other planets is a very unique signal. Okay, and we see it all around us, so we have a concept of that with we see that animals have the ability to communicate with each other. Do we understand their language? No. Can we just open our mouth and use English words and we can speak to the animals? No. I mean, well, we can communicate our intentions, and our intentions our communication carries the energy of our intentions. So actually, I have experience talking to other elements in nature. Okay, we're going to have to tag that on to that conversation about all the other spiritual beings. But you have to reach that level. Okay? And once we do, once the tree of life, it's like we sending a signal to the universe that we're ready. We're ready to go to the next stage. Just like when a baby is being born, the body releases hormones, and then the body reacts to the release of those hormones to help aid in delivery. Okay? So go to the ant. We got to go to what we do know about life and birth, and we can apply it here. And that is one way that science and a lot of people being educated, as opposed to back in the day where only the privileged received an education of these things. When these theories and these technologies were being discovered, those were the secret organizations that these people were getting bullied, their data stolen. So the people who stole it, because they weren't the conduit for the original knowledge, they actually cheated themselves. We actually are not seeing the full strength. Remember, I said that the earth wasn't going to yield her strength. That was part of the curse. We lifting the curse right now. so that the earth can yield her strength to us. And do you notice how the more we have a better social structure, the more we have less violence on this earth, the more we learn, the more knowledge we receive, the more technology we are entrusted to have and build, because that is the language of the universe. Okay? And icosahedronic, I wanna show you that word so you can look it up, as one of the Platonic solids. And even though there's a connection, sacred geometry is the study of these Platonic solids on a spiritual level, a lot of knowledge has not been discovered. Okay, this is new knowledge that was entrusted to me to share with you so we can do this miracle. Okay, so the icosahedronic is also one of those Platonic solids. Okay, but this form, this is how the earth, this is the communication, how the earth communicates. Like we have to, when we release, when our energy, when we can achieve this configuration, our energy, we would be unknowingly, but now knowingly and intentionally, but we will be signaling the galaxy that we ready. Okay, we gotta send, they're waiting, the galaxy, the universe, the heavens is waiting for a response. Okay, they waiting for the ensign, the signal. So this is something that's going to happen. These signals is something that's going to happen once we do our part. When we do our part, the earth will do her part, and the galaxy will do its part in response to our energy. Yes. We can communicate with the universe. And the universe is not interested in just any communication. We can send all the satellites in the world out there. That's not going to help us. So, the psychosocial well-being of mankind theory is a comprehensive scientific method that identifies and provides the antidote to the epidemic called MDI disorder, or multidimensional or multidimensional interrelational disorder. Achieving the electron configuration of the tree of life as a macroorganism require complex, propagating, constant emissions from 100 AU parts per million at 360 coordinated dimensions simultaneously per mass of AU. Okay. So this is what I said. 100 AU parts per million at 360 degrees. Okay. So not one person can, okay, it's a joint effort, okay? It's a joint effort. We have to send multiple, we have to, when we emit the tree of life energy, okay, that energy is going to transform into something else. Because remember, we're talking about atoms. We're talking about compounds and molecules. So once we emit that energy, then that energy is going to do something. That energy is going to connect and transform into a language that the universe can understand. That's not something we can control on that level. That's why it cannot be mimicked. We can't mimic this. We have to be the true thing. There's no way around it. And we'll get into the propagation constants. We'll get into all of that, but that's the very technical aspect of what I'm presenting, because we need a means of measuring the mass and units of all of this new information. So we have multiple dimensions. We have to create a vibration, and that just starts right here, right now, with being able to conceive where we headed and what we need to do. Then we can achieve it. The propagation constant of 360 different demons is how devolutions occur. BMSE afflictions or conditions that induce devolutionary wavelengths is how demons are defined in PWM theories. So in episode 2, we talked about the demons, okay, being related to multiple dimensions and dementia. We talked about the BMSE mass unit, the body, mind, spirit, and emotional mass units. When there are problems with that, we call that a BMSE affliction. Okay, we have to clear up our afflictions, and we have to clear up these demons, and then we will not be constantly devolving. We will no longer be subjugated to devolutionary wavelengths. Our devils, the real devils that we need to clear up and eradicate. PWM theories and applications can help us finally establish a remarkably efficient economic development plan to aid world leaders in manifesting their commitment to perpetuating the measurement, observation, and improvement of the psychological social wellness score of all people as a human right and responsibility. Okay, so for the first time in history, okay, we can measure our psychological and social wellness. So there's a whole chapter dedicated to the PSW score. It's an actual score, and all of these scientific values that I'm revealing right now is related to measuring, observing, and improving the PSW score, the psychological social wellness score of all people. It is our human right, and you'll see later how if we can just impact positively our social norms, then that is what a lot of these human rights laws would have achieved. Without even giving this form, we would have achieved these things that I'm discussing if there was just enforcement of the laws in a way to enforce the laws. So that's the real problem. Okay, there's a lot of laws that are not manifesting themselves in reality. There are more laws protecting money in our cars and our houses than it is our children. We can fix that. Okay. PWM is the solution to the problems with worldwide violent crime, poverty, and environmental decay, plus delivers the most accurate explanation, formula, and scientific method that captures the breadth and scope with great profundity on how to globally improve the lives of all people on the planet Earth in 12 different ways. Okay, so these are the 12 different ways. This is a scientific method. Okay? And we can help everyone achieve this in as much as is possible. Okay? And the breadth and scope. So remember when we talked about Kavah, I think this was episode 1, and we talked about Shabbat being the breath of Adam's life, which is also homonymous with breath. See, they sound the same. They sound the same, but they have different spellings and different meanings. Right now we're talking about the breadth and scope of the whole matter. Okay? This is the breath of life right here. And there's another word in there, an anagram, even in the word breath. We also have the bread of life, right? Remember, the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it was said that unless they now eat of the tree of life and live, okay? So, bread. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of my mouth. Isn't that what Jesus said? Okay? This is connected to that. And that's why our belief systems and our spirituality, it is relevant. It's relevant to how we go through the gates, the stages of life. It's how we enter in to the great holy city, New Jerusalem, which we call Zion, or which I call Zion, but that was the Zion we were all trying to get to in the Bible. There's no Z-I-O-N without the Z. We got to achieve Zion, Z-A-Y-I-N, before we get to Zion, Z-I-O-N. Okay, so let me show you that. Let's unveil that again. In the Bible, you hear a lot about Zion. The Z ion. Look up ion. What is an ion? Okay. Zion is the Hebrew letter for Z. We have to achieve Zion to get to the Z ion. When we talk about ions, we are talking about chemical elements. We're talking about atoms. We're talking about compounds and molecules, okay? This is the Z ion right here. Okay? We have to achieve this energy level. We have to become ionic. Okay? We have to be biological ions. Bionic. Okay? That's what the bionic man and all of that stuff was about. We don't need technology to get us there. All we need is ourselves. All we need is life. All we need to do is connect to the life on this planet, and we can connect to the life beyond us. That's how we're going to achieve this miracle. Now, these 12 improvements are already legally enacted with current international treaties on human rights and constitutional laws. But the current system of justice, war, and politics are the paramount barriers to achieving these goals. The 12 ways are also referred to in PWM as the 12 gates and as astroglia. So I have 3D models of the astroglia. Maybe I should go get one so you can see it. I was gonna save that for later, but just to give you a visual of the 12 parts of this configuration. So we're talking about astroglia, another scientific term, and astrocytes. And that's why we have, that's what these are. Okay. These are our astroglia and our astrocytes. And these are the bonds that connect. We have to bring everything together. And yeah, I think I'm gonna just go ahead. Just give me a second. But these astroglia and astrocytes, these are cells in the brain. And they look like that. They look like this. Look it up. Look up the astrocytes, the cells in the brain. I'm going to go, excuse me for a minute, I'm sorry. I'm going to go get us a 3D model of an astrocyte, an astroglial cell. And this is a live video. There's no editing, so I'm not going to pause it. Just give me a minute. Found one. Okay. So you're going to have to excuse my astrocyte. The children got to it and butchered it. Well, I made nine of them. So path 108, we have 9. And it's actually 10. Okay? And I'm going to explain this later, but there is space for uniqueness. There are some things we have in common, and there are some things that are unique to us, okay? So, they butchered my, it's okay. It gets better. Okay, so I had it hanging, and that's why I had to unravel it. But can you see that? Okay, so this is the string it's supposed to be hanging on, so you can see it floating in. Had a little solar system going on with this. Okay, so this, see how humongous this is? This is just one of these. This is just one of these. Okay? So I'm going to tell you specifically, more specifically, what this is. So each one of these colored circles, that's a part of, we call this the fruit of the tree. 12 manner of fruit. Remember in Revelations, it says the last chapter, Revelation chapter 22. There was 12 manner of fruit that yielded fruit on a monthly basis. Okay, that was my spiritual connection. Okay. So this is actually one of the 12. Okay, hold on. Okay, so let me show you how this goes. Okay, so each one of these little lines that you have right here connect to little, each one of these have something at the end. And when you add all of these up, so you have 12 manners of fruit, but each manner of fruit has 9 things in common. Okay? So actually, the astral sites and astroglia depict different concepts, but it's interrelated. Because if you can imagine this, so you see this purple, this right here is like one of these, is this one right here, right? And then every one of these atoms, they connect to something else. Now look how massive that is. Imagine having 12 of these. This is the kind of energy. This is, we have these things floating around us, okay? These are our tentacles, the energy. This is the unseen. Our unseen world is massive, right? Okay? Metatron is massive. This is just one connection. So that's why we have to, this has to be released. Okay? Our inner goal, our inner light, our inner life force. And then we transform to this. And then in the process, we are growing these things. Our energy has to grow. It has to go through stages to become like this. So without all of this, without this book and someone like me and everyone along the way, all of our spiritual leaders that we, the holy books and stuff, they all brought one aspect to the table, okay, that allowed us to get this far. The martyrs, they all fought for something so that we, this is the process. We've been on this path. This is our evolution. This is what we've been evolving into unknowingly. Like, we don't have to have the knowledge to evolve into this. Like I said, we could have just been like the animals in nature, and eventually we would have achieved this unknowingly. Okay? I just wanted to cover that just to give you, sorry, I had to go, I was unprepared to show you this molecule, because this is actually part of the other chapters. And right now we just going over the synoptic overview, an introduction to PWM theory. And my spiritual beliefs is where all this emerged from. Okay? So our spiritual beliefs can hinder us, and it can also help us. Okay. The 12 ways. Okay, so I showed you that. And so a detailed discussion of astroglia and astrocytes, their functions and applications, has been provided throughout the other 6 chapters. Now, it is time to fine-tune and upgrade the current monkey justice system to reflect divine intelligence. See? This needs to be reflected in reality. We need to reflect humanitarianism and the legal enactments of human rights and civil liberties. And that's what all the wars was about. Fighting for human rights and civil liberties and humanity. That's our dark past. People died so that we could achieve this. So that lack of cohesion that was created by the old system of racism, religion, war, and politics does not continue to keep us in violent, primitive, dark ages and continue to be the paramount barriers to us enjoying psychosocial well-being and restoring our living earth upon which all life depends. All life depends. The first step towards peace on earth right now is to rescue our children from primitive monkey laws by improving the administration of justice in domestic violence and child custody cases, protecting the personal freedoms of parents and children with family law reform and family law court. The injustice of crime and the crime of injustice is responsible for at least 50% of violence in the world. Preventable deaths. Okay? You need to clear that up. 50% of the violence in this world is related to injustice. 100 million parents and children need you to help now. Please help. That's why I said this is a cry for help. This is like a mayday, mayday. My spirit sent a mayday signal out into the universe, and all of this data came back like, okay, this is what y'all need to do. So be careful what you pray for, because you might just get it. The 12 labors of Hercules, every day and all day. The air we breathe and the wind blowing all around us, and the spiritual soul has a certain frequency and wavelength, an electromagnetic charge that can create, shape, and mold the world around us. If ever we are to arrive at a certain level of electromagnetism, so if we can ever arrive here, which I don't see any barriers except our choices at this point. Okay? Our intentions need to manifest in our actions. If ever we are arrive at this in reality. Okay? On a physical level, then we are affecting the electromagnetism of this planet. There are 12 contributing factors, which we can also call seeds, right? Because right now, we just have potential. We have the seeds of life, but we have to plant our seeds. Right now, this is a seed. This is a seed of life inside of us. Okay? Then we need to grow. We need to transform. We need to go through the stage of the flower life. And we're going to talk about that later. And then we can eventually become trees of life and bear the fruit of life. So these are the 12 contributing factors. What this symbolizes here. We're going to discuss that in the other 6 chapters. But there are 12 seeds that can influence to which levels on a scale of 9 of the factors that affects our charge per unit of time. So our charge per unit of time, okay. Remember I talked about, just a few minutes ago, we talked about the 100 AU parts per million. I cannot find the paper. Okay, here it is. So this right here is what we're talking about. The charge per unit. Okay. So eventually we'll get into that. But our charge per unit of time into the electromagnetic fields of our flower of life. So we have to emit this life producing light at a certain level, a minimum certain level. And there are 12, okay, and then 9, the little hairs around it, that all means something. And that's how we come up with Path 108. Path 108 is about these 12 manner of fruit, these 12 seeds, these 9 hairs. Okay? That's where Path 108 come from. Okay? So the Buddhists, this is what they was talking about, that the soul has to pass through 108 stages on its way to the apex of our existence. And then once you activate all 108 parts of your atom, then you have a uniqueness. Okay, so there's 12 more. That's your uniqueness. In every one of these areas, our uniqueness, okay, is different. So we left room and space for that 12. Okay. Society is the universe or the physical soil wherein the seeds of life, people's individual constitution or universe as a physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental being were planted. The omniverse is a shared reality that all life in heaven and on earth is creating, molding, and shaping. Therefore, all life matters and needs to be carefully tended to, cultivated, and harvested. All creatures on earth are just microscopic biological organisms that have a symbiotic relationship with the earth, a celestial being in its own universe with other celestial beings and etheric matters that it interacts with, constituting another omniverse We are nature's people. So we also have an unseen reality that influences how we function within as single, perfect vibrational units of life light together with the earth forms a single macroorganism. There are planetary life support requirements that are important, and that's what it's all about. Access to these requirements is the inherent right to a life-sustaining ecosystem. So remember we talked about in episode 2 how society is raising our kids. We are social creatures. Our children, we are impacted by the world and a social construct around us. And that right there is being grossly underestimated. The value of that is being grossly underestimated in times of past, okay? And we still being impacted by that dark game they played in the past with each other's lives, slavery and all the violence in the world. We have to clear that up. We have the right to a life-sustaining ecosystem. This celestial being that we call Earth is a mothership, spaceship. Protection of human rights is a macroeconomic reality and create socio-economic responsibilities for nature's people. Deprivations of those protections is the greatest contributor to MDI disorder and BMSE afflictions. You see, while we have to clear up that MDI and not get caught up talking about the problem, but we can clear that up. So we're gonna end off episode 3 here, and in episode number 4 we're going to talk about our research. I'm a PWM theorist, and PWM theorists seek to demonstrate in a comprehensive manner how 12 aspects of a person's life is codependent upon enforcement of human and civil rights. Okay? So thank you for joining this discussion, and I hope to see you around for episode 4. Have a good day. Thank you.